Anglo-Maratha wars. This is just for the prelims, so I don't have to go into as much details as we went in Mysore case. जी क्या हुआ? There are 3 Anglo-Maratha wars. Okay. Now write number 1. The first Anglo-Maratha war started when the Marathas clashed for the post of Peshwa. When Marathas clashed among themselves for the post of Peshwa, Raghunath Rao claimed himself as Peshwa, but other Maratha chiefs were not ready to accept him. But other Maratha chiefs were not ready to accept him. East India Company supported Raghunath Rao East India Company supported Raghunath Rao, which led to clash between the two. Next, the company was already in war with Mysore. Which war? First, second, third, fourth? Second. Already was in war with Mysore, तो ब्रैकेट में लिख दो 1780 to 84, याद है? और ये है 1775 to 82. So when you have two fronts open, it is dangerous. And for company, which one was a bigger threat, Mysore or Marathas? Mysore. So that is how you have to understand what company would do here. Therefore, the company made a peace treaty with Marathas in 1782 at Salbai. It's a place in Maharashtra. So it is called Treaty of Salbai, and both agreed to maintain status quo. You understand this? Both agreed to maintain status quo. Now write Second Anglo-Maratha War. Number 1. The Peshwa Bajirao II had killed a close relative of Holkar chief close relative of Holkar. Holkar were another Marathas like Scindias, like Gaikwad, like Bhonsle. So these are 5 famous Marathas chief. Where were their headquarters? Peshwa at Pune, Bhonsle at Nagpur, Gaikwad at Baroda, Scindia at Gwalior, Holkar at Indore. So when we say Marathas, right? So these were all. And where was the king? Satara. But the king was a puppet. This man was the most powerful, I told you already. But only till 1749. After the death of Shahu, the very kingship also ended. So now it is only Peshwa, no longer king. So it was the Pune which was like the head of Maratha powers, and these were like satellites of Pune. But satellite में क्या होता है कि you have to always travel in an orbit. That orbit was set by Peshwa. Many a time these satellites came out of the orbit, and that would be the reason for the clash between Maratha chief and other chiefs. So there was a clash between Peshwa and Bhonsle, Peshwa and Gaikwad, Peshwa and Scindia, Peshwa and Holkar, but also between Holkar and Scindia, because each of them wanted their own area to be expanded, and plunder was one of the most important source of income for these Maratha chiefs. So they would attack as far as places like Bengal and Punjab. From Pune to Bengal, Pune to Punjab, you can see the distance. They didn't rule actually in those places, because they were not in position to rule their own area properly. So the most important source of income for these Maratha chiefs was attack, plunder the booty. And in those days, recruitment in army was very easy, because it was very lucrative job for the youth, and it was the second largest employer after agriculture. And soldiers would get 2 types of money. One is salary and one is a share in the booty or war booty. But the problem with Maratha chiefs were that they themselves were fighting regularly among themselves. Suppose they had a joint venture, attacked somewhere in Odisha, looted money. When they came back, they fought among themselves for their percentage. Now this led to unrest among the soldiers, because soldiers had to wait for a very long time outside the palace, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, till the dispute is settled. They would just get some food, shelter, not salary. In that background, East India Company agent would come to these soldiers and would promise only one thing: you want salary on time, join this East India Company. And they would switch over from Marathas to East India Company. Initially from Nawab of Bengal to East India Company, Mughals to East India Company, now Marathas to East India Company. It is very much like BJP became very strong, Congress to BJP, Mamta to BJP, Samta to BJP. Have you noticed every second day the 11 MLAs joined BJP in Karnataka recently. Lot of are ready in West Bengal. Why? There is a saying in Hindi, चढ़ते सूरज की सभी पूजा करते हैं, सभी सलाम करते हैं, right? तो उस वक्त चढ़ता सूरज था ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी, and it was paying better than others, and not even if paying better, at least paying, or at least paying. That was very interesting thing, that how East India Company benefited from our own soldiers. तो ये चीज आपको medieval time में, when Gauri came, Ghazni came, Babur came, they all came from outside. They didn't bring soldiers in large number, but they recruited soldiers from our own territory, Punjab, Haryana, UP, Bihar, Bengal, and these soldiers helped those people and conquered. That is why when you say today that the foreigners attacked this, it is not completely correct. You have to blame ourselves and yourself, that it is your people who actually helped those people to conquer India. And with the help of locals, Babur or Gauri, Ghazni or British could have never won such a vast territory in India. I hope now you understand. This would help you to understand what is called sense of history. तो अक्सर लोग हिस्ट्री एज ए फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर याद करते हैं, सेंस और एसेंस नहीं समझ पाते. जो झगड़ा होता है इस वक्त based on religion and caste and other identities, it is because of poor understanding of the past. So past, they look it from modern prism rather than it should be looked from the medieval time. I told Zama and Maka, the many ideas which you have today like nationalism, secularism, fundamental rights, human rights did not exist in those days. The idea like this is a foreigner and this is an Indian did not exist in Rajput period. Who was foreigner? For the Chauhan, Chandelas are foreigners. For the Chandelas, Garhwals are foreigners. तो उनके फॉरेन का कॉन्सेप्ट ये था, ये मेरी टेरिटरी है, ये फॉरेनर है. अभी भी महाराष्ट्र में फॉर द मराठीज, गुजरातीज आर फॉरेनर्स, तमिलियंस आर फॉरेनर्स, यूपी बिहार आर एलियंस. कहाँ से आ गए? हमारे बॉम्बे में ऐसा वो बोलते हैं, है ना. तो यही चीज आपको समझना है थ्रू आउट हिस्ट्री. नाउ राइट नेक्स्ट. पेशवा fled. Who was the Peshwa? Bajirao II or Bajirao II. Peshwa fled and came to Basain. Bassin, a place in Maharashtra. This is nearby Bombay. Came to Basain and signed a treaty with East India Company in 1802. So this is famously known as Treaty of Basain. Treaty of Basain, which was a part of subsidiary alliance. This treaty was a part of subsidiary alliance, and subsidiary alliance you have already studied that what Peshwa had to do. An English resident, you remember, would not employ any army other than English in their army, right? Would not have any diplomatic ties with others without informing East India Company, etc., etc. But the other Maratha chiefs, Holkars, Gaikwad were unhappy, which led to the beginning of Second Anglo-Maratha War in 1803. Continued till 1806. The Maratha chiefs like Scindia and Gaikwad agreed to sign subsidiary alliance in 1803 itself the Bhosle signed in 1805 and Bachaga Holkars signed in 1806. Clear? Now write Third Anglo-Maratha War. Number 1, after the arrival of Lord Hastings, after the arrival of Lord Hastings, I have written his period 1813 to 23. The policy of East India Company that is the policy of non-interference with Indian states. You remember this was also one of the part of treaty. They would not interfere in their internal matters, right? The policy of non-interference with Indian states changed, and imperialist policy began. That is, to expand territorial kingdom or empire in India. This was mainly because the Industrial Revolution of England the Industrial Revolution of England increased the demand of raw materials like cotton, jute, sugarcane, tea, and mineral products or minerals. Maharashtra was famous for black soil, that is for cotton crop. Clear? The company got an opportunity when Peshwa, who was he? Bajirao II, an English resident at Pune, clashed. The Peshwa, out of rage, burnt the resident house. Out of rage, road rage, right? Out of rage, what I said? Burnt resident's house. Clear? This led to the beginning of Third Anglo-Maratha War in 1817. देखो दो चीजें एक साथ चल रही हैं. One is the English desire to capture that fertile area, important city like Pune, and one is the opportunity which was created out of this one. So both happened together. The other Maratha chiefs also joined, but were defeated one after another in different battles, but were defeated one after another in different battles. In 1818, Pune was annexed. 1818, 1818. Pune was annexed. Annexed by East India Company, and post of Peshwa was abolished. The former पेशवा अब वो फॉर्मर हो गया. कौन? बाजीराव II was shifted to Vittur near Kanpur. Shifted to Vittur near Kanpur with a fixed annual pension. Fixed annual pension. So as long as he would be alive, he and his family would get pension. But Lord Dalhousie came in 1848 and announced the famous doctrine of lapse, under which only the real successor would continue to get pension or throne. So his successor was Nana Sahib, was not his real son, an adopted son. So he could not get that pension, so he rebelled against British in 1857 from Kanpur. So now you understand what a Maratha was doing at Kanpur. कानपुर में मराठा नहीं होते, यहाँ शुक्ला जी होते हैं, मिश्रा जी होते हैं, मराठा तो महाराष्ट्र में होते हैं. So I hope you got the connection with this battle and 1857 revolt. So this is how they captured a vast territory with Pune, the most important city in Maharashtra after Bombay. Okay, and the other Maratha chiefs like Bhosles, Holkar, Gaikwad, they continued the same subsidiary alliance till 1857. Then in 1858, new arrangement with the crown came and they continued their obedience to the British, which continued till 1947. And then finally during and after independence, these princely states were merged with Union India. So this is how you have to keep this track in different phases, what happened to which particular places. Like I told, first state which was under direct British rule in 1772, Bengal, Bihar, Odisha. And then they started expanding slowly, but till 1813 they were not going directly. They were going through subsidiary alliance in which territory would be still under India's ruler's hand. They had to agree on certain terms and conditions. Post 1813 till 57, they adopted the policy of imperialism, and that was because they needed territory for industrial products like agricultural, minerals, and also market for their finished products. So you would learn that between 1813 to 56, 2/3 India came under British rule directly, and 1/3 remained under indirect rule. That we will discuss again. Clear है यहाँ तक?